From one of the worst episodes to one of the best. It's The Mandalorian the way we've been wanting to see it. We got our ragtag group of nefarious ruffians. We've got high stakes. We get fights. We get betrayal. We get just desserts. It's just a thing of beauty. It's The Mandalorian. Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of The Mandalorian. So yes, of course, spoilers coming your way, and as always, do want to remind you about our quick jump index system. Right in the description below, have this entire review titleized, time-stamped. You can jump to the end first, you can watch the beginning last, you can watch this review in any order you'd like. Alright, so yes, very excited about this week's episode, and it was like a full-length episode. The longest we've had so far, about 43 minutes, which clocks it just under what a regular television network show would be with commercials. So yeah, has a good, feel-good, solid hour of action. And yes, we do have a little bit of fan service. We get some great aliens that we've only seen little bits of before. We get some comic references. We, of course, have star cameos all over the place. Really, the show is kind of like, do you always want to be in a Star Wars film? Do you have a recognizable name or face? We're going to put you in a Star Wars film or series in this action. But all playing towards strengths. Again, this is some badassery here. We've got a group of ragtag ruffians going on a prison ship, extracting a prisoner, and of course, a lot of unexpected things along the way. We get some great fights versus droids, versus people, versus Devorians, versus Twi'lek. Wonderful stuff. Some great just desserts. Little bits of comedy, as always, and just really a satisfying episode. If the last couple of episodes had been more like this, really would be happy, would be really on board. I mean, I like Sanctuary fine enough. Definitely was not a fan of Gunslinger of Chapter 5. So this gets me really excited. Little flashbacks more into Mando's history. We get a little bit of relationship status or post-relationship status of our Mandalorian. Yes, they have sex. They keep the helmets on. It is the way. A little kinky, but hey, man, whatever you're into, right? And just again, like I said, just sort of a fun thing. Nothing is unexpected, really. I mean, I think we can believe from the very beginning when Rand gives Mando this job and introduces this group, the big feeling that him coming back from this mission isn't really part of the plan. I think betrayal was always kind of in the cards with them. And I think our Mandalorian hero understood that. And we also get to see notations of character evolution for our Mandalorian. That the way he used to be isn't so much the way he is now. He is establishing an arc. So that's always kind of good to see that sense of perspective. And of course, by the end, of course, he's away. Baby Yoda's with him. Everything is fine. The only one comment that I can make is, just the way this came out, there's only 2 episodes left. I don't think we're going to have, we'll probably have one more mini adventure last, then I think just the finale will be the big cliffhanger. At that point, that's when we might see a little bit more of the client. We might find a little bit more of what the plans for Baby Yoda was, but I think that will leave us with our cliffhanger, most likely Baby Yoda taken from our Mandalorian, and him setting up to have to go back. So the stuff that I was hoping was going to start to happen this episode didn't. I mean, we did get our team. There was a team gathered, which I was sort of expecting. Not quite in this manner. I was thinking it was a team Mandalorian gathered to go after Baby Yoda. But like I said, I think that's probably going to be, we're going to be looking more into second season at that point. However, this episode, action-packed, satisfying. We get a little fan service. We get some Easter eggs. We get some insight into character. This is the way things should be all the time. Alright, so in a nutshell on Mandalorian, obviously not being able to raise money through the guild. Had to give away most of his funds he gathered getting his ship repaired, apparently. So when you're on the run, you got a baby Yoda, you need cash. You still gotta work. And in this case, it's the Mandalorian hooking up with an old pal, an old business associate, one might say, named Rand. Now, Rand, of course, played by Mark Boone Jr., who I recognize instantly from Batman Begins, playing our little corrupt cop. There was something in the drugs. I know he played for many years in Sons of Anarchy. I didn't watch the show. But still, an instantly recognizable character right here, which is perfect. Like I said, it's like, have you ever been in Star Wars? Do you want to be in a Star Wars? You can be in a Star Wars. And it's fun. We get to see again. There is some background, little bit of teasing being played initially. I love the whole pointing, and we get a lot of that in the beginning about the whole helmet thing. I just love that idea when he's talking about that he needs the Razor Crest to get in. That's the only reason that I let you in. He's looking at him. What's that look on your face? Is that gratitude? I mean, again, a perfect joke for somebody whose face that you can't see. It's great to sort of play into that. But we do get our introduction to our team. First off is Mayfield, played by Bill Burr, a great comedian, and has some fun lines in this. In fact, the opening one I think is the funniest line in the entire episode. When he is introduced, Mayfield's introduced as an ex-Imperial sharpshooter. And Mandalorian's like, well, that's not impressive. And Mayfield comes back, I wasn't a stormtrooper. It's great. Stormtrooper, the lack of accuracy is a well-known trope comedy bit throughout Star Wars fandom. So it's kind of a fun little reference right there. I really enjoyed that. We also have Natalia Tiva, if I'm pronouncing that also, playing Shien, our Twi'lek female knife-wielding assassin, an ex-lover of the Mandalorian, well, at least partner. It certainly implied that they had some sort of relationship, and of course implying even further than that, still the Mando does not take off his helmet. That's his thing. It is the way. So there's a little backstory in there. Kind of interesting. It was kind of fun to play with. We also have Zero, our droid, soon to be ex-droid, because, well, Mandalorian does not like droids. And that is apparently a long-established thing. That's something that Shien sort of remarks back. You don't like droids, still don't like droids, do you? And apparently something to do with untrustworthiness. Probably the programming. You're never really sure how you're going to deal with a droid because they always rely on their programming. So you can sort of appreciate that background. And then finally, of course, we have Burke, the Deveronian muscle, played by Clancy Brown, who has been working forever. Instantly recognizable. If you don't recognize the face, you certainly recognize the voice. He's done Star Wars stuff before. He's worked in a lot of different things. I mean, the guy's just prolific. Always very excited to see him. And great to see another Deveronian. One of our original Star Wars aliens from way back in the cantina. We don't really see much from him. I do think, if I remember correctly, the head of the criminal gang on Lothal was also Deveronian. I think he was green, though. There's variations in coloring and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Always great to get these character sort of flashbacks. These introduces like, yeah, I haven't seen one of these characters for a long time. I mean, if you watch all the Star Wars stuff, sure you've seen. If you just watch the films, it's nice to have a little bit of this back. And the mission, of course, retrieving Quinn, Shian's brother, though not initially known that. Just a target, just someone they're going in to get back. But it's, even from the beginning, you know that there is so much withheld information. The fact that the only reason that Mando is there is because of the Razorback, because it's not on any of the Imperial or Republic radars. They don't have registration for it. It is old. It's beat up. It's not going to be gathering that much attention. Allows them to get up to the ship without being detected. That ship, of course, being a Republic prison ship. Also, not what Mando was expecting. So yeah, a lot of unexpected bits of information, but that is not a surprise. It's a great thing about these types of storylines. We have our hero being sucked into his old dangerous gang, maybe a new little group, going in for one last mission. Betrayal, always part of it. So again, it's sort of a tropish, but we know the ride we're going in, and it's a fun ride. Like I said, it's really enjoyable. I was wondering where Baby Yoda was for the first few minutes of this. Like, where is he? What's going on? Was he dropped off? Of course, he's still in the Razorback. Really should put a lock on that door. Considering how many people seem to be going in and out of the Razorback at this point. And Baby Yoda affecting everyone. Even when they get in that big kind of clash there on the ship. Trying to pull off Mando's helmet right there, really revealing our Baby Yoda in his little place. Everyone's like, oh, he's so cute, and Mayfield's all creepy. I never had a pet like this, but maybe I'll try again. I mean, really, really disturbing. It sets the tone very nicely. Everyone is dangerous. You don't want anyone on board the ship. You don't want anyone messing with Baby Yoda. And again, that's just the beginning. Now, all the prison ship stuff, very cool. Just from a set standpoint, it's a simple set, but it looks great. I love the stark white look of everything, and then as soon as everything goes into emergency mode, all of the red lights really changing the feel of the interior. It looks Star Wars. It's crisp. It's clean. All of the buttons, I mean, all the whole artwork done, everything you were right inside of this world. And when we get to the control room, it's a nice kind of reveal. I mean, already we have seen that the Mandalorian has sort of evolved a little bit from who he used to be, from the conversations he's had with Xi'an and stuff like that. And obviously, protecting Baby Yoda, not something that he used to do. It was when Xi'an was bringing up, certain past missions. I did what had to be done. But all of these adventures really has changed. And once we get to the control room, we really see the big difference to it when, of course, we find the one human occupant. Whole ship is supposed to be run by droids, but of course we do have Tavin, our one human occupant, who Mandalorian not interested in killing. Again, it's not just wipe everything out. Even the idea of going against the Republic ship was not something that grabbed him. I believe that he's a certain supporter of possibly what the New Republic is trying to do. Certainly appreciates them going up against the Imperials, who he hates. If this was Imperial, the guy'd probably be dead without a question. So I think that this is all sort of inciting his, the Mandalorian's got a code. And it's not just do the job, finish thing out, do what you promised to do. He doesn't want to kill unnecessarily. Really even willing to stand up against the guys around him, the rest of his team, to try and keep Tavin from being killed. All they need is to open up the door and to get out. They can tie him up, they can leave him. Him dying isn't necessary. It doesn't even need to know that somebody was here and stole the stuff and who it was. That's not important. So killing him, while efficient, isn't required. And I don't think the Mandalorian wants to kill unnecessarily. And it's a great moment of obviously setting him apart from the rest of this nefarious team. Great moment again. Guns raised both directions and everything. And maybe if could have pulled it out if Xi'an hadn't just knifed Tavin, dropped him down. Okay, again, quick way of solving it. But the little tracker, all he had to do is hit that button, and if I was getting killed, hit that button would definitely be the last thing that I would want to be sure to do. Which, of course, sets in our time crunch, and, of course, leads into the discovery that the prisoner that they are pulling out is Quinn, Xi'an's brother, and somebody whose Mandalorian is responsible for putting in that cell. Whether it was a bounty or he left him behind on a job, we don't have specifics on that. but definitely Mandalorian is blamed for this, which is why they shove him in there and close it all down. Like I said, I don't think there was really a plan to bring him along anyway. Was it Shin saying, "You deserve this"? It was just... Like I said, I don't think there was any plan to bring him back. I think they just wanted the ship. Mandalorian coming back with him. Obviously, if you can save money from not paying him, always a good thing. But there was obviously a certain bit of revenge going on with him being responsible for Quinn being there. Love the escape. Pulling in the droid guard there, hitting him with the line, pulling him up, breaking his arm off, and using that data port in order to open up the door. Brilliant. And then going back to the control room to start to steer everyone else. Again, it's a wonderful tactical move. The emergency lights are all on. Now start closing the door, feeding them into certain... He's just guiding them through parts of the ship that he wants to. And as soon as they're far enough apart, starts closing doors, separating, divide and conquer going on right here. Which just, again, a brilliant bit and really engaging. Some great fights in this episode also. First off, the Mandalorian versus the security team, which was great. The droids coming up behind everyone. They're all taking cover, looking around. Where's Mando? I knew he was a coward. And then just coming up from behind him and taking them out. Now, I was wondering why he didn't just shoot them all from behind. Now, maybe he didn't want to take the chance of shooting the other guys. I think he could have gone the hallway and just been like, move to some cover, and then taking them out. Certainly more visceral, doing it hand by hand. We've established he has a certain hatred for droids, so maybe that's coming up a little bit. Puts him in a more dangerous spot. I mean, again, great fight, great knife work, stabbing, shooting, using him for cover. Definitely relying on that Beskar steel to help protect him from behind. But again, that's part of, I think, a Mandalorian style of combat, knowing that the armor can take certain number of blows. Was quick, was brutal, was very nice. We're seeing how badass the Mandalorian is. We know he's badass, but it's a great establishment, especially to put a counter against some of the other fights that go on. Him against Mayfield, I thought was really nice once he sort of separated everyone out. Was just great because it was using the lighting effects and presence to really establish. It's a quick fight. I mean, there isn't even really a fight involved in this. But the fact of Mayfield wandering through the corridors as the lights are blinking on and off behind him, and then suddenly behind you see, like, light flash, there's Mando. Light flash again, he's gone. Light flash, he's closer. Light flash, he's gone. Light flash, he's closer, and then he turns red, he's gone, and then right behind. I mean, again, it's simple, it's creepy stuff, but it was very effective. Him against Shin was nice. We get a lot of that knife work. She had just multiple knives being tossed. He catches some, he pushes some. The Beskar takes a few of those. Again, another quick thing, once they get into close combat, she doesn't have a chance. And how they set up all of these, that it looks like he is taking them out, I think, really added to the feel of what we were expecting things to see. I like the fact that we just get the moment where they're close, and then it kind of cuts to the next stuff. It leaves us with that, we don't know what happens, but we have an expectation of what did. And yes, I'm leaving the best for last, and that is our Scene of the Week for this week, and that is The Mandalorian versus the Kurgan. I know, his name's Burke in this, and he's a Devaronian. But the Kurgan is Clancy's best role in my mind. It's where I first saw him way back in Highlander as the immortal foe to Connor McLeod. So I always see him as this. And it's really, we have that same type of feel. Burke is the muscle, so we want to see a muscle fight. We want to see how strong that he is. And also, since we've seen the Mandalorian do some great kick-ass stuff against the droids, the droid security force, and we've seen everything else. You want to see somebody, you know, give him a good fight. And that's what a Devaronian does. He is the muscle. And it's Clancy Brown, who, at 60 years old, still kicking ass. Go Clancy. And a great fight. We've got starts off with the ambush. We have, and then you think he's going to be choked, and then he's pulled down. We get the hand-to-hand. We get the whispering whistling birds flying out. They're not hitting any target. We get the flamethrower being used. But he's a Devaronian. He's immune to flame. He's a devil. For Christ's sake. So, I mean, it was cool. It was badass. And I loved how it ended. That he throws him out the door and drops the door on him. A perfect replay back to episode 1 as he takes out the one guy by closing the portal door around him. And here we think, there, now he's just crushed Burke. But no, he just rises up, and then side door slam. This is awesome. Again, we get great references back to earlier episodes. We get to show how tough he is, that the Mandalorian certainly can't do as much against him, that it's almost a more powerful foe, and yet, still, with tactics, intelligence, and timing, our hero can dispatch our villains easily. Well, a little bit of work, but that's where the fun is. Now, of course, there is almost one more battle, or expected battle, in this episode, and that's Baby Yoda versus Zero. Which I really thought was going to go in some interesting directions. Zero, now piloting the ship, tapping into Greef Karga's message to the Mandalorian, getting a little insight, perhaps this creature inside is a little more valuable than we think. And I love the little face-off as he turns around, and there's Baby Yoda staring at him. And he grabs the gun, turns around, and he's gone. There was a lot I was hoping for this little fight. I mean, I just love the kind of hide-and-seek bit that they play with him. Baby Yoda's just hiding behind crates and looking and pulling back. And honestly, where I was expecting this to go, and I thought in that last scene this is where it was going to go, when Zero finally finds him, and he pulls up the gun, and Baby Yoda brings up his hand. Expect your big force attack. And honestly, I was expecting Baby Yoda to just slam him into one of the carbonite freezers and take him out that way or something. I'm not sure what a carbonite would do to a drive. I mean, it would still freeze him, I guess. But that's sort of where I was expecting it to go. At any point, I was like, man, Baby Yoda's going to throw him into the carbonite freezer, and that's how he's going to take care of it. You're going to force push him and turn it on, and boom. And God, that would have been cool. But I kind of like the comedic bit, how they did wrap it up. How we do have Baby Yoda raising his hand to use the Force, and of course, Zero's like, what the heck? And then, BAM! Shot from behind, and he drops. There's the Mandalorian. We even get that moment of Baby Yoda like, look at his hand. Whoa, is that me? What the heck? Was just cool. I mean, yeah, Baby Yoda's super cute. We didn't need him that much in this episode. I think he kind of almost distracts from the larger action, and it's a tough balance they've got to find to keep the cuteness of Baby Yoda and yet still do some badassery with the Mandalorian. So I think they're finding a good balance point between the two of these for the most part. But yeah, it was just, I mean, it was a fun bit. Like I said, I was hoping that Baby Yoda was going to do something to defend himself. But he's a kid. I think it's a little bit better that Mando still saves him and gives that little... Yeah, it's not the Force that's blowing a droid apart. That's a blaster. And finally, of course, we get our bit of just desserts. Mando running into Quinn there on the battleship, who gives up and says, hey, you got to take me back in. You're an honorable man. That's the job, right? Click, click, take me in. And he does. Because, I mean, he is here for the cash. It's the whole reason he's done the job. Just shooting him would be pointless, and he'd just upset more people. So, of course, he's got to take him back. I was kind of surprised after he got his cash that he turned around and walked back up, because that's usually when people get shot in the back. Better if he'd taken the cash and just sort of backstepped up the ramp. Though maybe that's slightly less powerful. Maybe there's more of that strength of character to be willing to turn your back and knowing that nothing is going to happen. But of course it is, even though Rand is paid Mando. He still wants him dead. I mean, I guess there's no rest of the team. No questions asked, right? That was the rule. And of course, ultimately, as Quinn looks down and pulls out the little tracking beacon, oh, what's this? Ah! Was awesome. And it was kind of funny, too, because when it went off, they said like 20 minutes. And I think it actually was 20 minutes in show between when that went off and when finally we had the X-Wing sort of appear. Yeah, they had to go to a different direction, but I just think kind of time-wise that worked out really cool. Awesome seeing the X-Wings appear, you know, as Rand's like, take him out, and the ship's slowly running. That's why you should have, like, turrets on, because the ship coming up to go after the Mandalorian, just, it seems like you're taking a chance right there. That your pilot's going to be good enough and going to be able to get to him in time before he jumps to light speed. So it was a little off, and maybe Rand has a secret escape place. Escape capsule, that would be great, because those X-Wings showing up, yeah, that's a good signal. Take it out, just takes out the interior. There goes the ship. There goes Quinn. Rand, maybe he's running to a safe place, but it doesn't matter because the X-Wings come around and blow the place up. Mandalorian gone. Give the little thing back to Baby Yoda. Very cute. And I love the final line. I told you that wasn't a good idea. Did he? Was that the conversation between him and Yoda? I don't know. But I like the idea of the fact that they might have actually played that out, or Mandalorian might have had this whole conversation with Baby Yoda there before deciding, we need the money, we're in a tough spot, we gotta go take the job, even if they're gonna stab us in the back. And then ultimately finding at the last bit that no, he didn't kill Mayfield or Sheehan or Berg, he just put him back in the prison ship in the cell that he was stuck in. And now they're prisoners. It's perfect. He doesn't kill unnecessarily. In fact, he doesn't kill anybody. The X-Wings and I keep wanting to call it the Rebellion, but it's not. It's the New Republic. The New Republic took out Rand and Quinn in his ship. So, didn't kill anybody. He just saved his own butt. And Baby Yoda's, which is really what his whole job is. Alright, just a couple of small things. One, not a lot of love in the Twi'lek family of Sheehan and Quinn there. Sheehan's there, obviously, going to rescue her brother. I mean, there might be other motivations here as well, possible paycheck as well, but that definitely seemed a big motivation to do this job. Quinn, not so motivated to save his sister. Mr. Mayfield, you're going to get me off the ship. What about your sister? What about her? Nice family. Again, great lines, great insight. You would hope there might be a little stronger family connection, but I guess that's why Quinn deserved to die at the end. Few more Easter eggs. Of course, we have another appearance of a mouse droid. A nice little face-off between Burke and the mouse droid. Yeah, don't shoot the mouse droid when you are invading a ship. It only draws attention. Like a big security force coming at you. Also, we got some Gungan references. Mandalorian, what are you, a Gungan? Is that why you should not want to take off the hat? I'm glad that's how they left there. Gungans, very racist characters, quite honestly. But yeah, so, and of course, the Nefarious, the Twi'leks, characters we've seen before. Bib Fortuna, very famous Twi'lek character, and the dancer that ends up getting dropped in the Rancor pit. So, yeah, always love seeing these things, and this is nice. Little bits as part of the story. Don't just throw us something just to go, ooh, stuff you remember. No. And yes, while I did like the Mandalorian versus security force there, it definitely required all of his weaponry. In fact, that's something we saw a lot in this episode, is kind of the full complement of Mandalorian's weapons. When he was going against the droids, he was using the cable line and the flamethrowers and all that stuff. When he went against Burke, we got those things, plus the whistling birds and such. So a lot of weapon use by the Mandalorian, but I guess it shows really why they're such a formidable opponent. Their armor is blaster proof. They've got an assortment of weapons that they are very proficient in and willing to use them at any moment. So it was cool, but it was also, that's one of the things that I didn't like about the security fight. One, I think he should just shot them all in the back. But two, it was just, he had to use everything he had to go up against these people, or these droids, while honestly no one else helped. Which is why I think the whole plan was to leave him behind anyway. Oh, and I love Mayfield's little auto gun from his back. I mean, obviously he's the weapon guy. Guns, 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 lots of pistols. But yeah, I just love that little automatic so we can stay behind cover and it pops out and shoots at the droids. I like that. That's a cool device. I don't know how he aims it, but, you know, it's Star Wars. Oh, and mentioned before, Zero was tapping into a recording of Greef Karga's message to the Mandalorian about dropping off the package, Baby Yoda, directly at the client's place. So, while that does sort of give Zero the idea that there is something more valuable here, why he would shoot Baby Yoda without capturing him, without knowing really where the most value is, that seems kind of dumb. But I think what we're doing basically here is reminding us that Greef Karga is not out of the picture yet. He will be popping up. I don't think Zero sent him a message or anything like that to kind of clue him in on where the Mandalorian is or put some sort of tracker on their ship. There wasn't a lot of time. They didn't play that kind of angle. I think it was just a reminder of, one, that Zero's untrustworthy, and two, reminder, yeah, Greef is still out there, and we're probably definitely going to see him again. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers everything. Now, only 2 episodes left. And next week's episode is actually going to be on Wednesday, or Tuesday night, Wednesday dropping, as opposed to Thursday night, Friday dropping, because Rise of Skywalker comes out next week, and they don't want to counter-program. Watch The Mandalorian, then go watch Rise of Skywalker. So I am thinking, like I had mentioned before, is that we'll probably just have another sort of standalone adventure. Maybe leads us into the finale, but I think the finale is going to be the attack on the Mandalorian. Baby Yoda's going to get lost, and that's going to be the Mandalorian maybe finding a little bit more information and vowing to go after and save Baby Yoda, and that will be our sort of cliffhanger ending. It's just a guess on my part, but considering they haven't really touched on that story so much anymore, I think we're going to just probably have one more standalone for next week, and then a big one for the finale. Either way, I'm excited. This episode really got me charged. I really want to see more, and we got to see the client again. We got to find out what the whole purpose of Baby Yoda was. It cloning, as some people think? If you remember, Dr. Pershing, who was the client, I think he had a Camino logo on his jacket. So that's possible. Still think there might be some midichlorians reaction. I mean, why would you want to clone Baby Yoda outside of getting more stuff from him, and that stuff possibly being midichlorians? So that's my idea, but we have to sort of wait and see where it comes in. I just want the show to let us know. So yeah, next episode is going to be in the beginning of the week. Then we'll have a long break because of Rise of Skywalker, and then the final episode is right at the end of the year. So only 2 left. Can't wait to see where they're going to take us. But that will wrap us up for now. Thank you, as always, for joining me with these reviews. And if you enjoyed them, do appreciate it if you hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, throw them down in the section below. What do you guys think about this episode? Is this a good return to form? Do you like all the cameos? Do you like all the recognizable actors? Is that maybe pandering a bit too much towards audience? I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think about this episode, and where do you think we're going? Let me know your thoughts. Throw those down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. It's quick, it's easy, it's a 1-button press. Yeah, there's only 2 episodes left of this, but we're also wrapping up Mr. Robot. Then we've got the second half of Walking Dead next year. We'll have Westworld Season 3, and of course, final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the summer. So lots of stuff to look forward to. You won't miss them if you're a subscriber. Do that by clicking this button right here. Be sure to hit notification bell right beneath. That way you'll be notified whenever new reviews are dropped. And we'll throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.